You begin by allowing yourself to slow down. The day, with all its sounds and movements and thoughts, starts to fade gently into the background. Your breath becomes softer, your body a little heavier, your mind a little quieter. You are not rushing anywhere now. You are simply here, resting, and the universe around you feels as if it is exhaling with you, releasing any tension, any weight, any hurry. You imagine that you are surrounded by a soft darkness, not an empty darkness, but a comforting one, like a warm blanket drawn over your shoulders. Tiny points of light hover at a distance, shining with slow, patient radiance. Stars scattered across the sky of your mind. They do not flicker urgently. They do not demand your attention. They simply exist, calmly and steadily, like a quiet heartbeat in the vastness. As you drift in this calm space, a thought appears, light and easy, like a feather floating down through still air. You do not have to grab it or hold it tightly. You just notice it, gently. The thought is simple. What if, somewhere out there in this soft, dark universe, someone was watching Earth right now? Not in a frightening way, not with harsh eyes, but with a quiet, wondering gaze, as if they were looking at something beautiful from far away. You picture yourself moving further and further from the planet you call home. You are not in a rocket, not in a machine, but floating peacefully, weightless, carried slowly upward beyond the clouds. The air around you thins and becomes clear. The blue fades into a deeper shade, then into a velvety black, and below you, Earth appears, round and soft and distant, wrapped in swirls of white cloud. From this height, everything feels quieter. The noise of cities, the hum of traffic, the rush of busy days no longer reaches you. You see continents edged in soft coastlines, oceans stretching like calm blue sheets, and the thin glowing line of the atmosphere that protects everything below. The planet turns slowly, like a lantern suspended in the dark, lit from within by the gentle light of life. You drift even farther back, calm and unhurried, until you are no longer just above Earth, but far enough away that it becomes a small, shining marble in a vast black sea. You can see the curve of its surface, the soft flecks of cloud, the bright band where sunlight touches it. And as you rest there, slowly floating, you imagine that somewhere even farther away, someone else is looking at this same sight. You imagine a distant world circling another star. Their sky might be a different color. Their gravity might feel stronger or lighter. Their air might taste unlike anything you know. But on that distant world, you imagine beings who can look up, the way you do, at the sky above them. You imagine that they too have wondered whether they are alone. You imagine that they have built instruments to look outward, to listen, to search for faint signs of life in the darkness between stars. And one day, in this gentle imagining, those distant beings detect something small but unusual, a faint signal, a tiny whisper of energy, a hint that somewhere on the edge of their awareness there is a planet that glows softly and sends out the faintest echoes of activity. They turn their attention there, curious and calm, and they find Earth. You are still drifting, still floating, watching their awareness touch the small blue world you know as home. You feel no fear in this thought, only a kind of tender curiosity. You imagine these distant watchers not as harsh judges, but as quiet observers, fascinated by the delicate glow of a living planet. To them, Earth is not a place of noise and confusion. It is a soft, slow-moving light in the dark, circling its star with steady grace. They see the blue first, oceans covering so much of the surface, shining in different shades as the light hits them. Deep dark blues where the water is endless, lighter shades near the coasts, where the sea meets the land. They see the white of clouds roving slowly across the surface. They see the pale glimmer of ice near the poles. They see faint hints of green and brown beneath the clouds, suggesting land and forests and plains. They cannot see individual people. They cannot hear individual voices. From their distance, they simply see a world that breathes, a world where clouds form and dissolve, where light moves from east to west, where days stretch into nights and nights soften into days again. To these watchers, Earth seems calm, almost sleepy, turning patiently through space. You let yourself sink into their perspective. For a moment, you imagine you are seeing Earth through their eyes, or whatever they use to see. You notice the beauty of the planet without any of the details that usually weigh on your mind. There are no worries attached to this view, no tasks, no deadlines, no decisions. Just a slowly turning sphere of light and shadow, quietly moving through the dark. You imagine that the watchers have instruments capable of noticing the thin veil of gases around Earth. They measure the colors of its light, the way the atmosphere absorbs and reflects the star's rays. They can tell that there is air here, and water and warmth. They can tell that something is happening on this world that does not happen on a silent, lifeless rock. They can sense that Earth is alive. Perhaps they detect traces of certain gases that only living things create in such abundance. Perhaps they see the way the planet's colors shift with the seasons, green deepening and fading, snow growing and shrinking. They see patterns, cycles, rhythms. To them, these are not just measurements. They are signs of a world that changes gently over time, like a chest rising and falling as it breathes. As Earth rotates, they watch one side bathed in daylight and the other wrapped in night. They see the line between day and darkness sliding slowly across the surface, a soft, moving boundary. On one side, bright blues and whites. On the other, darker shades, with hints of faint glows. They notice something else now, something that makes their curiosity deepen. On the night side of Earth, tiny points of light appear, not like lightning, not scattered randomly, but arranged in patterns, clusters that outline coastlines, lines that seem to trace roads, small islands of brightness surrounded by darkness. The watchers do not know the word city, but they recognize that this light is different. It is too steady, too organized. It looks intentional. It looks like a sign. They continue watching patiently. Night after night, these patterns return. Some of the bright spots grow slowly over time. Others fade or shift. They see that these lights belong to something dynamic, something that has its own rhythm, its own story. And although they cannot see the beings who create these lights, the watchers can sense their presence in the glow they leave on the dark side of their world. You imagine the watchers listening now, not just looking. They have devices tuned to the faintest signals, waves of radio buzzing out into space from the Earth below. Most of these signals are old. They left Earth long before this moment you're imagining, traveling outward at the speed of light, thinning and weakening with distance. But some of them still reach the watchers as delicate whispers, like the last echoes of a song. They do not understand the languages carried in those waves. They do not know the meaning of the words. but they can hear patterns, rising and falling tones, repeated rhythms, bursts of structured sound followed by stretches of silence. They hear music, perhaps faint and distorted, but still carrying hints of harmony. They hear the cadence of human voices, even if the details are lost. To them, it is evidence that this world is not only alive, but thinking, feeling, speaking. You drift even deeper into this thought. You imagine the watchers gathered in a quiet space, focused on this tiny blue world so far away. Maybe their bodies are very different from yours. Maybe their senses work in ways you cannot fully imagine. Yet their experience of listening to Earth feels familiar. They are wondering, they are imagining, they are feeling the same soft pull of curiosity that you feel now. Perhaps one of them thinks about what it would be like to stand on Earth's surface and look up at the sky. They might imagine seeing the sun rise slowly over a horizon of water or land, feeling warmth touch their skin or whatever surface they have. They might imagine the taste of Earth's air, rich with the scents of plants and soil and rain. They might imagine hearing the sounds of wind moving through leaves, or waves crashing gently on a shore, or distant voices carried on the breeze. They picture beings like you walking under Earth's sky, looking up at stars the watchers themselves know well from their own view of the cosmos. There is something calming in that thought. The two different kinds of life, separated by an immense gulf of distance and difference, can still share the same sky, the same stars, the same quiet questions. You feel yourself relax further as you imagine them. They are not here to interfere. They are not trying to change anything. They are simply watching with the same kind of calm fascination that you feel when you look at a clear night sky and let your mind wander. For them, Earth is a distant, beautiful light. For them, just knowing that another living world exists brings a sense of comfort and wonder. As you breathe in, you feel the universe around you expand, wide and open. As you breathe out, you feel it soften and close gently around you, like a pair of hands cupping something fragile and precious. You imagine that, to the watchers, Earth is something precious, not because it is perfect, not because they know everything about it, but because it is rare, it is alive, it shines. You let that thought settle inside you, like a pebble settling at the bottom of a still pond. You imagine yourself as part of that living world, one small presence among billions, lying here, breathing slowly, resting. You imagine that if the watchers could somehow see you individually, they would feel the same tenderness toward you that they feel toward the whole planet, not because of what you do or what you achieve, but simply because you are a small piece of a living, breathing world turning quietly in the dark. The universe around you remains calm and spacious. The stars above you, in your mind's sky, remain still and gentle. Earth continues to turn, slowly, steadily, carrying forests and oceans and mountains and cities through the quiet sea of space. The distant watchers, on their faraway world, keep their gaze soft and steady, listening to your planet's whispers as they drift outward through the silence. And you, resting here, float between these two perspectives. You are someone who belongs to Earth, feeling what it is like to be watched with kindness from afar. You are also, in your imagination, one of the watchers, seeing your home from a distance and recognizing its beauty in a new, tender way. In both roles, you are surrounded by calm. In both roles, you are safe, your thoughts slow, like a river easing gently into a still lake. You do not have to push them away. They simply move more softly, more quietly, as the universe holds you in its wide, gentle embrace. Earth is turning, the watchers are observing, and you are resting, carried on the same slow, cosmic rhythm that guides planets, stars, and the quiet dreams of distant minds. You drift deeper into the soft darkness that surrounds you, letting the steady calm of the universe cradle your thoughts. The distant watchers remain focused on Earth, observing its slow rotation with quiet fascination. From their vantage point, the planet looks serene, almost sleepy, wrapped gently in its swirling patterns of weather and light. As they continue to watch, their sense of connection to this small, glowing world grows warmer, tender even, as though the sight of Earth soothes something deep and ancient within them. They notice the smooth transition from sunlight to shadow stretching across the planet's curve. The bright half glows with soft blues and whites, while the night side rests in a deep, gentle darkness, broken only by those faint, scattered human lights. This edge between day and night, a slow-moving line of soft gold, seems to fascinate the watchers. They imagine the feeling of being in such a place, where dawn or dusk touches the land in a quiet shimmer, where the air cools or warms with subtle promise. They do not know the word horizon, but they understand the beauty of transition. As they observe Earth turning, they see clouds forming like delicate brushstrokes pulled across the sky. They drift lazily, sometimes thick and bright, sometimes thin enough to let the deep blue of the oceans show through. The watchers imagine what it might be like to stand beneath those clouds, watching them drift overhead in slow, peaceful stretches. They picture the air smelling of rain, of soil, of life. They imagine the quiet patter of droplets falling to the ground, touching leaves, rooftops, open fields. Their attention drifts next to the continents. They see shapes outlined against oceans, their colors shifting gently with the seasons. Greens appear where forests grow dense, where grasses sway, where life moves in subtle patterns. Browns and golds appear where deserts rest in silence, where mountains rise and stretch their shadows across the land. Whites appear where snow blankets the earth, softening everything beneath it. These variations speak to the watchers like a language without words, a story told in color and movement. They imagine life moving across these landscapes, though they cannot see it. They imagine the slow motion of animals walking beneath trees, the flutter of wings, the ripple of water when something stirs beneath the surface. They imagine people walking through forests, along beaches, across open fields. They imagine human footsteps crunching over fresh snow, splashing through shallow streams, pressing softly into warm sand. They imagine the quiet of someone standing alone on a hilltop, breathing in the vastness of the sky. The watchers cannot see individuals, but they can sense patterns, tiny shifts in temperature, small bursts of energy, the faint glow of human light. They imagine that each glow belongs to a place where people gather, where conversations drift through warm air, where laughter rises gently, where someone plays music softly, where someone else sits in silence after a long day. They cannot hear these sounds, but they imagine them the way you might imagine the sound of distant waves, soft, steady, comforting. As Earth turns, the watchers notice the shadowed side again. It is here that the lights of human civilization shimmer with the greatest clarity. clusters of brightness form patterns that change slowly over time, hinting at growth and movement. In some places, the lights spread outward like glowing threads weaving through the landscape. In others, they stay concentrated, pulsing softly in the darkness. The watchers imagine these lights as campfires scattered across the surface of the world, warm gatherings in the stillness of night. They consider the beings who created those lights. They imagine humans settling into their homes as night falls, lighting rooms one by one. They imagine the gentle flicker of lamps, the glow of windows, the warmth of people sharing quiet moments at the end of the day. They imagine someone sitting alone with their thoughts, someone else whispering to a child, someone drifting towards sleep. They picture the soft rise and fall of breathing in countless places, each one a small, personal rhythm, echoing the larger rhythm of the turning earth. The watchers sense too the faint waves of human communication drifting outward into space. These signals are weak but persistent, stretching from earth into the silence like threads of thought. The watchers do not understand the content, but they recognize intention. They hear the pulse of human voices layered over music, the structured patterns of speech, the brief bursts of laughter. To the watchers, these sounds are like hearing raindrops tapping on a distant roof, subtle but full of meaning. Sometimes, the watchers imagine what it would be like if those signals carried emotion rather than words. They picture a feeling traveling across space, the feeling of someone looking at a loved one with warmth, the feeling of someone watching a sunrise after a difficult night, the feeling of someone finding comfort in a quiet moment. They imagine that Earth must be filled with such emotions, woven into the daily lives of its inhabitants. The watchers turn their attention next to Earth's oceans. From afar, the water looks smooth, but they know beneath the surface there must be movement. Currents flowing like invisible rivers, waves rolling toward the shore, life drifting in slow dances. They imagine the sea as a vast, gentle creature, breathing in long cycles. They picture moonlight touching its surface, creating a path of silver stretching across the dark. They imagine someone walking along a beach at night, feeling the sand cool beneath their feet, listening to the steady hush of waves washing in and out. They think about Earth's forests. They imagine them full of whispers, leaves brushing against one another, branches swaying, creatures moving softly among them. They imagine beams of sunlight piercing through the canopy, illuminating dust particles floating like tiny stars. They imagine someone sitting beneath a tree, breathing in the scent of bark and earth, feeling connected to something old and comforting. The watchers consider Earth's mountains. They picture high peaks covered in snow, rising above clouds, silent and ancient. They imagine the cold, pure air at such heights, the stillness that envelops everything. They picture someone climbing a mountain trail, pausing to breathe deeply, contemplating the vast landscape below. They imagine that such places might be where humans feel closest to the universe, closest to the quiet that exists between stars. As the watchers drift deeper into their observations, they begin to sense how many stories unfold on Earth at once. Someone wakes while someone else sleeps. Someone laughs while someone cries. Someone begins a journey while another returns home. These countless threads of life create a tapestry that stretches across the surface of the planet, constantly shifting, constantly renewing itself. and the watchers find comfort in this motion, this endless cycle of beginnings and endings. They imagine what humans must feel when they look up at the night sky. They picture someone standing alone in a quiet field, staring upward, wondering if anyone is out there. They imagine that same person taking a slow breath, feeling small but peaceful, connected to something larger. They imagine another person sitting indoors, gazing through a window at the stars, feeling a soft longing rise within them. These imaginings make the watchers feel closer to Earth, as though the universe itself is creating bridges between distant minds. You drift even deeper now, floating alongside the watchers in this vast, serene space. Their calm becomes your calm. Their slow, patient observation becomes your slow, patient breath. You imagine yourself looking at Earth from their vantage point, feeling awe and tenderness for the world you come from. You imagine that every trouble, every noise, every moment of rush becomes small from this distance, softened by the quiet beauty of the turning planet. You let this perspective wrap around you like a warm blanket. You breathe in the stillness. You breathe out the tension. You allow yourself to feel connected to Earth and to the distant watchers at the same time, held gently in the middle of the universe. Everything is quiet. Everything is calm. Everything drifts softly, carried on the peaceful rhythm of time. The watchers continue observing Earth with steady affection, and you float with them, resting in the soft, unbroken calm of the cosmos. You continue drifting in the soft quiet of space, held in a gentle stillness that feels both vast and intimate. The distant watchers remain tuned to Earth, their awareness lingering on the small blue world with a patience that never rushes, never tightens, never fades. Their attention feels like a slow, steady light warming the darkness, illuminating Earth's quiet motions, as if each turn of the planet is part of a lullaby drifting outward through the cosmos. As they observe, the watchers begin to sense subtler patterns, delicate changes in color across the continents, shifting shapes of cloud cover, faint variations in the glow of the atmosphere. They notice how Earth seems to breathe, expanding with daylight, softening into shadow, cycling endlessly in a rhythm as gentle as your own breath. It is this rhythm that draws them deeper into contemplation. They feel that there is something comforting in Earth's predictability, in the slow and steady motions that guide its days. Their gaze settles on the boundary where ocean meets land. They imagine the slow curl of waves washing against sandy shores, a rhythm older than humanity itself. They picture the gentle retreat and return of water, the faint hiss of foam dissolving into wet sand. Though they cannot hear it, they imagine the sound in their minds the way you imagine distant rain, soft, steady, calming. They imagine someone walking along such a shoreline, leaving footprints that the waves slowly erase, breathing in the scent of salt and wind. Next, the watchers imagine the great forests covering parts of Earth. From afar, they see only swaths of color, but they sense the richness beneath that surface. They imagine countless leaves trembling lightly in the breeze, branches swaying with a slow grace, sunlight filtering through the canopy in shifting, dappled patterns. They imagine the air beneath those trees being cool and earthy, carrying the scent of moss and life. They picture someone walking along a quiet forest path, feeling the cushion of soil beneath their steps, hearing the soft rustle of creatures moving unseen through the undergrowth. Their thoughts drift to Earth's deserts. They imagine vast stretches of sand glowing under the sun, dunes rising and falling like the surface of a golden sea. They see shadows sculpted by wind, endless and soft-edged. They imagine the desert at night, the air cooling quickly, the stars appearing in overwhelming numbers above the quiet land. They picture someone sitting on a dune beneath that sky, looking upward, feeling a deep stillness settle into their bones, a stillness that seems to mirror the calm between stars. The watchers then consider Earth's polar regions. They observe the bright whiteness that reflects sunlight like a mirror. They imagine ice stretching as far as the eye can see, cracked in gentle patterns, drifting slowly as frozen sheets shift with the currents below. They picture snow falling in delicate flakes, landing silently on a world already wrapped in silence. They imagine the cold air being crisp and clean, the landscape vast and unbroken, quiet enough that one could hear their own heartbeat echo in the stillness. As the watchers continue observing, they sense the dynamic interplay between light and temperature across Earth's surface. They watch storms gathering strength, swirling with slow, graceful motion before dissipating again. They observe clouds moving in long spirals, forming patterns that feel familiar in their repetition. They imagine the rumble of thunder and the bright flicker of lightning, softened by distance into something beautiful and serene. To them, Earth's storms appear not as chaos, but as part of the planet's natural rhythm, each one rising and falling like a breath. Their attention returns once more to the lights on the night side of Earth. They notice how these lights pulse faintly from night to night, how some regions glow brightly while others remain dark and quiet. They imagine that each point of light represents a place where people gather, where someone is telling a story, where someone else is falling asleep, where life is unfolding in small, tender ways. The watchers imagine the warmth inside those illuminated spaces, the comfort of voices moving softly through rooms, the glow of lamps reflected in human eyes. They wonder how many dreams take shape each night beneath those lights. They imagine dreams floating gently above sleeping humans like small clouds, drifting toward the ceiling, dissolving into the quiet. They imagine dreams filled with longing, with hope, with memory, with imagination. Dreams of oceans, of forests, of distant planets, of stars. Dreams that mirror the watcher's own curiosity and wonder. The watchers begin to think about Earth's long history. Though they cannot see the past, they understand that a world with such diversity must have taken a great deal of time to grow. They imagine ancient landscapes untouched by human presence, oceans where life first stirred, forests that rose and fell over ages. They imagine generations of humans living, learning, building, resting. They sense a continuity that stretches backward and forward, connecting all life on the planet in a quiet, unbroken chain. This sense of continuity reminds the watchers of their own world. They think of how their planet must have changed over time, how their oceans and skies must have shifted, how countless generations before them must have looked up at their own stars with the same wonder. This shared thread, this desire to look outward, makes them feel even more connected to Earth. They begin to see themselves not just as observers, but as distant kin, bonded through curiosity and the common search for meaning. You drift with them, feeling this connection become part of your own stillness. The soft darkness around you feels less empty now and more like a gentle cradle, holding you between these two perspectives. You sense Earth below you, warm and glowing with life. You sense the watchers far away, serene and thoughtful, and you sense yourself floating calmly between them, listening to the quiet hum of the universe as it stretches in all directions. The watchers continue to imagine what it might feel like to walk through the world they have been watching for so long. They picture standing in a meadow at sunrise, dew clinging to blades of grass, the air cool and sweet. They imagine lying beneath a clear night sky, feeling the warmth of the ground beneath them, watching the stars appear one by one. They imagine stepping into a still lake, feeling water embrace their body, ripples spreading outward in gentle rings. They imagine what humans must feel when they rest, the sinking weight of relaxation, the softening of thought, the moment when waking dissolves into dreaming. They imagine that sleep on earth must feel as natural as night falling, as tides moving, as seasons turning. They wonder what humans dream of as they lie under blankets, listening to the quiet breathing of the world around them. You breathe slowly, matching the pace of Earth's rotation, matching the patience of the watchers. With each inhale, you draw in calm. With each exhale, you release anything heavy. Your thoughts drift in smooth, unbroken arcs, as gentle as the paths of stars across a clear sky. You are not rushing forward. You are not reaching backward. You are simply floating, held in the wide, steady quiet of the universe. The watchers sense this quiet too. They feel the peaceful rhythm of Earth continuing beneath them. They feel the pulse of life moving across continents and oceans. They feel the weightless beauty of observing from afar. And as they watch, they know that they will continue to watch. Not because they expect something to happen, but because the very act of watching brings them a sense of peace. You let yourself drift in that same peace, feeling the softness of the cosmos enveloping you like warm, slow-moving air. Earth continues to turn, wrapped in its blankets of water and cloud. The watchers continue to gaze, wrapped in their gentle curiosity. And you continue to rest, wrapped in the stillness that grows deeper with every breath. You drift even deeper into the calm of this imagined universe, resting comfortably as the distant watchers continue their quiet study of Earth. Their presence never presses, never intrudes. It is soft, steady, like a warm glow somewhere far behind your thoughts. They observe Earth not as something to analyze or control, but as a gentle light in the darkness, a living world turning with patient grace under its star. As they watch, they become more attuned to the small, delicate motions unfolding across the planet. They notice the way sunlight slides across vast plains, revealing patterns of hills and valleys that shift with every passing hour. They see how forests cast long shadows at dawn, then shorten as the sun climbs higher, then stretch again as evening approaches. These daily cycles appear to them like the slow opening and closing of a flower, a natural rhythm that brings comfort simply by existing. Their attention drifts toward the movement of water across Earth's surface. They imagine rivers winding along ancient paths, weaving through mountains and fields, carrying with them stories of the land. They picture the gentle lapping of lake water against smooth stones, the tiny ripples that form when a leaf touches the surface, the soft reflection of sky mirrored in still pools. They imagine humans sitting by these waters, dipping their hands into the cool depths, feeling a sense of quiet settle into their bodies. The watchers think of waterfalls next, Even though they cannot see them directly from afar, they imagine water tumbling from heights, sparkling as it falls, creating mist that rises like a fragile veil. They picture the sound of it, a deep, continuous hum blending with softer splashes, all of it forming a kind of natural lullaby. They imagine someone standing beneath such a waterfall, letting the mist touch their skin, breathing in the freshness of the air. Then they think of Earth's cities again, not as noisy or overwhelming places, but as clusters of gentle light. From their perspective, the lights create patterns that appear soothing rather than chaotic. They imagine that these glowing places must contain warmth and connection. They picture people gathering in soft-lit rooms, sharing meals, sharing stories, preparing for rest. They imagine the hum of quiet conversations drifting into the night, the glow of lamps shining through windows, the feel of blankets being pulled up as sleep slowly rises. The watchers sense the rhythm of human life, even though they cannot see individuals. They imagine the millions of small routines unfolding across the surface of the world. Someone making tea before sunrise, someone stepping outside to feel the morning air, someone pausing midday to look at clouds drifting overhead, someone else settling into bed long after the sun has set, listening to their own breath soften with each moment. They understand that life on Earth is filled with moments of rest and moments of movement. They picture children running through open fields, their laughter carried by the wind. They imagine people standing on balconies at night, watching distant lights shimmer. They think of someone sitting by a window during a quiet afternoon, tracing the curve of a mountain with their eyes, feeling the gentle pull of thought and dream. The watchers turn their attention to the atmosphere surrounding Earth. They observe how the thin layer of air glows at certain angles, forming a soft halo around the planet. They imagine what it must feel like for humans to look up and see a sky so full of color, blue during the day, painted with pinks and oranges during sunset, deepening into indigo as night falls. They imagine the comfort of knowing that a familiar sky always returns, no matter how many days pass. They picture birds gliding through that sky, wings outstretched, moving with effortless grace. They imagine someone watching a bird fly, feeling a sense of lightness mirrored inside their own body. They imagine clouds drifting overhead, changing shape moment by moment, inviting the mind to wander gently until it finds a place of calm. The watchers also imagine Earth's nights in detail. They picture the moon rising slowly, brightening the land with a soft glow. They imagine the stars above shimmering like tiny fires scattered across a black canvas. To the watchers, these stars are old friends, familiar landmarks in a universe too vast to fully understand. They imagine humans lying on blankets under open skies, tracing constellations with their fingertips, whispering wishes into the darkness, letting their breath match the rhythm of the gentle night. They sense the temperature changes on Earth as night deepens. Air cools, landscapes quiet, creatures retreat into burrows or nests. Humans slowly surrender to rest, their minds drifting from wakefulness into dream. The watchers imagine the collective quiet of billions settling into sleep, a soft wave of stillness stretching across the surface of the world. This quiet makes the watchers reflect on their own nights. Perhaps their skies glow in different colors. Perhaps their moons, or whatever lights their night, cast reflections in ways Earth's moon cannot. But even across the vast distance, they feel a familiarity, a shared rhythm. Night is a time of rest for many beings, and they imagine that on Earth it is cherished in much the same way. The watchers notice seasonal patterns shifting once more. They see regions warming slightly, others cooling. They imagine flowers beginning to bloom in some places, their petals opening slowly in morning light. They imagine frost forming in others, covering branches with delicate ice crystals that sparkle at dawn. They imagine trees shedding leaves when the air begins to chill, carpeting the ground in soft layers of color. They picture humans walking through these seasonal landscapes, taking in the quiet beauty of each transition. They sense that Earth is constantly renewing itself, even in its smallest moments. Grass pushes upward through soil. Waves smooth rough edges of rock. Winds reshape dunes. Snow melts into streams. All of it part of an endless cycle that continues whether watched or unwatched. And the watchers feel honored to witness these changes, even from afar. As you float with them, you feel your own thoughts shifting into longer, slower motions. You think of Earth the way they do, not as a place full of demands, but as a calm, breathing presence. You imagine its landscapes not as busy scenes, but as soft images drifting across your mind. A quiet forest, a moonlit ocean, a warm house glowing in the dark. The more you imagine these things, the more your breath steadies, the more your mind loosens its hold on the day. The watchers begin to wonder what humans feel when they contemplate the universe. They imagine someone standing under a starlit sky, feeling small but safe, sensing the vastness above them without fear. They imagine someone closing their eyes and imagining distant worlds, just as you are doing now. They imagine someone finding comfort in the idea that life exists beyond their own world, that somewhere out there, gentle eyes might be watching with curiosity and warmth. In this gentle imagining, the universe feels smaller, more intimate. Distances shrink not because the space changes, but because your thoughts soften into connection. You feel Earth beneath you, turning quietly. You feel the watchers far away, observing without expectation. You feel yourself floating in a space where nothing rushes, nothing pushes, nothing burdens you. You breathe in, and the universe feels close. You breathe out, and the universe feels warm. The watchers remain where they are, steady and calm, continuing their quiet observation. And you remain here, drifting deeper into their gentle gaze, resting in the soft, expansive stillness that surrounds everything. You continue to drift in the slow, weightless calm of this imagined space, where every movement feels softened and stretched, where every thought seems to float rather than fall. The distant watchers remain focused on Earth, their attention unwavering yet tender, as if merely observing the planet brings them a quiet comfort. From where they are, and from where you float beside them in your mind, Earth looks almost like a glowing memory, soft around the edges, gentle in its colors, endlessly turning in peaceful rhythm. The watchers let their awareness glide over the planet once more. They notice how sunlight shimmers across the oceans, creating long trails of brightness on the surface as the waves shift and breathe. They imagine the warmth filtering through the water, touching coral reefs, drifting downward in fading golden hues until it meets the dark, quiet depths where life moves in slow, ancient patterns. They imagine creatures gliding silently beneath the waves, shaped by the rhythm of currents and the pulse of tides. They drift their attention from water to land again, noticing the subtle changes that occur as the world warms under the light of its star. They picture the soft opening of flowers at dawn, petals unfolding in colors they have never seen before. They imagine the hum of insects stirring in the early morning, the gentle movement of animals beginning their search for food, the slow awakening of forests as sunlight filters between the branches. Even though they cannot hear these sounds, they imagine the world's morning unfolding like a soft melody. As daylight spreads across the continents, the watchers imagine humans stepping into the new day. Some rise early, stretching their limbs, savoring the first breaths of morning air. Others take their time, lying quietly for a few moments, gathering strength before they move. They imagine people preparing warm drinks, letting steam rise gently from cups, holding them between their hands as they look out windows at awakening skies. They imagine conversations beginning softly, footsteps echoing lightly through homes, thoughts slowly drifting into place. The watchers reflect on how varied human lives must be. They imagine someone tending a garden, hands brushing soil, feeling the cool texture of earth. They imagine someone sitting alone with a book, eyes moving gently across the page. They imagine someone walking along a riverbank, watching ripples dance on the surface as birds glide overhead. They imagine someone working with quiet focus, shaping something with their hands, or resting during a pause in their day, watching light move across the floor. They imagine quiet moments shared between people, two friends talking softly, a family eating a simple meal together, two lovers holding one another in silence. These scenes unfold in the watchers' minds, not as complex stories, but as warm impressions, like glimpses of emotion carried on a breeze. They sense kindness, comfort, connection. Even from their distant perspective, they can imagine the softness in these everyday moments. As Earth continues turning, the watchers notice clouds gathering once more. They form thick blankets over certain regions, casting large shadows that move slowly across the land. The watchers imagine what it must feel like to sit beneath such a sky, listening to the gentle rolls of thunder approaching from afar. They picture raindrops beginning to fall, tapping lightly at first, then more steadily, creating patterns on windows and rooftops. They imagine someone sitting indoors during a rainstorm, wrapped in a blanket, watching the world become misty and blurred through glass. Their attention drifts to places where the skies remain clear, where sunlight spills unhindered across fields and hills. They imagine warm breezes moving through tall grasses, bending them in gentle waves. They picture someone lying on their back in such a field, watching clouds drift lazily overhead, feeling the sun warm their skin, feeling the earth support their body with steady, grounding presence. They imagine the slow serenity of such a moment, the kind that feels like time itself has paused. The watchers shift their focus again to the mountains. They imagine trails winding upward through forests, leading toward cooler air and broader horizons. They picture someone walking these trails, listening to their own steady footsteps, feeling their breath deepen as they ascend. They imagine the first glimpse of a wide valley from high above, the sense of openness that fills the body with quiet awe. They imagine someone sitting at the summit in silence, letting their thoughts dissolve into the vastness of the landscape. They think of Earth's deserts again, how the sand glows under the sun, how it cools rapidly when night falls. They imagine the desert night bursting with brilliant stars, clearer and sharper than anywhere else. They picture someone wrapped in a blanket, lying on the sand, looking up at the sky, feeling the universe press gently against their mind, not with weight, but with wonder. They imagine the cool air carrying the faint scent of dry earth, the stillness so profound that even a soft breath feels like a meaningful sound. The watchers reflect on how humans move through their days, how they balance movement with rest, effort with stillness. They imagine someone taking a moment to stretch after sitting for a long time, feeling muscles loosen and soften. They imagine someone taking a deep breath on a balcony, letting the air fill their chest, letting tension slip away with the exhale. They imagine someone closing their eyes briefly during a busy moment, recalibrating, grounding themselves, returning slowly to the gentle rhythm of life. As evening approaches on parts of the planet, the watchers sense a change in the world's energy. Colors soften, shadows lengthen, the air cools. Lights begin to glow one by one across the land. They imagine people preparing simple meals, turning on lamps, lowering their voices. They imagine windows glowing like warm squares against the darkening sky. They picture someone stepping outside to enjoy the final light of the day, watching the sun sink below the horizon, feeling a quiet gratitude rise within their chest. They imagine someone else taking a walk at dusk, listening to the soft sounds of the world preparing for rest. They picture birds settling in trees, distant conversations drifting through the air, the gentle hum of the evening settling over everything. They imagine streetlights flickering on, illuminating empty sidewalks, casting long, quiet shadows that stretch across the ground. Night returns, calm and steady, and the watchers once again see Earth's gentle lights shimmering across the dark side. They imagine countless people settling into beds, pulling blankets up around their shoulders, letting their eyes grow heavy. They imagine parents whispering goodnight to children, partners wishing one another sweet dreams, someone resting alone but comfortably, breathing deeply as the weight of the day melts away. The watchers think about sleep, how it must feel for humans to surrender to it, to drift into dreams where the boundaries between memory and imagination blur softly. They imagine dreams forming like clouds, shaped by thoughts and feelings, drifting through the mind in slow, gentle waves. They imagine dreams filled with familiar faces, peaceful landscapes, distant stars, and quiet wonder. They imagine that some dreams might even drift upward, echoing the watcher's own curiosity, bridging the vastness between worlds through shared longing and quiet thought. You float with these images, your breath steady, your mind quieter than before. You feel yourself slipping deeper into the soft rhythm of this universe, carried gently by the watcher's calm and Earth's slow turning. The stillness around you grows warmer, softer, almost like a whisper brushing your thoughts. Every moment feels stretched, unhurried, like the universe is giving you all the time you need to rest. Earth continues to turn. The watchers continue to gaze, and you continue to drift, held gently between the two, resting in the vast, peaceful quiet that surrounds everything. You drift deeper into softness, carried by the slow, steady rhythm of the universe. The distant watchers remain present, their attention resting gently on Earth, like a warm hand laid quietly on the shoulder of a sleeping friend. Nothing about their gaze is sharp or urgent, It is simply there, constant and calm, following the planet as it continues its peaceful path through space. As the watchers observe Earth turning once more, they begin noticing how the changing light creates subtle shifts across the land. Morning returns to one side of the planet, and they imagine the gentle brightening of skies, the soft glow spreading across rooftops and fields. They picture someone waking slowly, eyes blinking open as sunlight touches their face. They imagine them stretching beneath warm blankets, feeling their body loosen with the first breaths of the day. The watchers imagine a kitchen filled with quiet morning sounds, water boiling, footsteps moving softly on cool floors, the faint clink of a cup set gently on a table. They imagine someone sitting quietly with their warm drink, gazing out a window, watching the sky lighten as clouds drift lazily by. These small moments, these tiny rituals, feel precious to the watchers. They sense a tenderness in them, a calm simplicity that echoes throughout the world. Their imagination drifts to others beginning their days in different ways. Someone stepping outside to breathe the morning air, feeling the coolness touch their skin. Someone walking a dog along a quiet street, listening to the soft tapping of paws on pavement. Someone tending a small garden, brushing their fingertips over leaves still damp with dew. Someone riding a bicycle along a forest path, the sound of tires on gravel blending into the birdsong rising from the trees. As the world warms, the watchers imagine the increased motion of life, children laughing as they play, adults moving through their routines, the hum of energy beginning to rise. But even in this movement, the watchers sense a softness, a sense that beneath the noise, beneath the patterns of daily life, there is always quiet waiting, always stillness available if someone stops to breathe. They imagine someone pausing in the middle of their day, leaning against a tree or sitting on a bench, listening to the wind rustle through leaves. They imagine someone taking a moment to watch sunlight shimmer on water, the surface sparkling like scattered stars. They imagine someone lying on their back in grass, simply watching clouds drift overhead, letting the world slow down inside them. The watchers feel connected to these moments, even though they cannot see them. They sense that Earth is full of small, peaceful pauses, tiny acts of rest hidden among busier hours. To them, these moments reveal something essential about humans, their ability to find gentleness, even when surrounded by movement. The watchers admire this deeply. Their awareness shifts again to the oceans. Sunlight glints across the waves, turning them into countless points of silver. The watchers imagine someone standing on a pier, watching boats move slowly across the water. They imagine the rhythmic sound of waves brushing against the shore, repeating in patterns as old as the world itself. They picture someone walking along the beach, letting the cool water lap at their feet, feeling the sand shift beneath their steps. They sense the life beneath the surface too. Though they cannot see it clearly, they imagine schools of fish gliding gracefully, moving in smooth unison. They imagine whales drifting through the deep, singing long, low songs that vibrate through the water like ancient lullabies. They imagine coral reefs swaying gently with the currents, full of colors the watchers have no names for, full of shapes that seem dreamlike in their beauty. As Earth continues turning, the watchers think of the vast landscapes on the planet's interior, grasslands stretching endlessly beneath open skies, rolling hills rising softly toward distant horizons. fields of crops rustling gently in the breeze. They imagine someone walking along a quiet country road, the scent of soil and warm sunlight filling the air around them. They imagine someone sitting beneath a tree, listening to the hum of insects moving through the tall grass. They picture distant rainstorms forming, towering clouds building slowly, heavy with moisture. They imagine the first few drops falling on dry ground, producing a scent that rises softly and quickly, carrying the freshness of renewal. They imagine someone watching the storm approach from a distance, mesmerized by the darkening sky, feeling the soft thrill that comes with anticipating rain. Their attention drifts next to Earth's nights again. The watchers observe the dark side of the planet, lighting up in slow patterns as evening settles. They imagine homes glowing warmly in neighborhoods, streetlights illuminating pathways, windows shining like quiet beacons in the dark. They imagine someone taking an evening walk through these gentle glows, hearing faint whispers of conversation drifting from open windows. They picture people preparing for rest, some reading quietly, some listening to calming music, some simply sitting in silence, allowing the day to fade. They imagine someone brushing their fingertips over soft blankets, someone adjusting a pillow, someone turning off the last light before sliding beneath cool sheets. They imagine the moment when a person exhales deeply, releasing all the weight of the day. The watchers sense that sleep approaches many humans at once. They picture countless breaths slowing, countless minds drifting, countless bodies settling into stillness. From afar, it feels like the entire planet exhales, a wave of calm radiating across continents and oceans. The watchers imagine this collective rest as a soft glow rising from Earth, a gentle pulse of dreaming energy. They think about dreams again. They imagine humans floating through landscapes of memory and imagination, crossing rivers of thought, climbing mountains woven from hope, drifting through skies painted with wonder. They imagine dreams that echo the curiosity of the watchers themselves, dreams of stars, of distant worlds, of gentle presences watching with quiet affection. And as you drift deeper into this imagining, you feel yourself becoming part of this dreamlike rhythm. Your thoughts loosen further, stretching into long, peaceful lines. You picture Earth turning beneath you, glowing with life. You picture the watchers, serene and distant, following the planet with soft attention. You picture yourself floating between them, resting in the stillness that binds everything together. The watchers reflect on the beauty of watching a world they have never touched. They understand that connection does not require closeness. It can exist in observation, in gentle curiosity, in the quiet appreciation of another world's light. As they gaze at Earth, they feel that they are learning something, not about science or geography, but about the simplicity and depth of life. You sink further into the softness. Breath in, slow and steady. Breath out, warm and relaxed. The quiet holds you. The universe holds you. The watchers continue their gentle observation, and you continue your gentle drifting, wrapped in the same vast calm that stretches between stars. You continue floating in the soft, weightless quiet between Earth and the distant watchers, held gently in a universe that moves with an unhurried rhythm. The calm around you deepens, stretching wide and warm, giving you space to breathe slowly and fully. The watchers remain connected to Earth with the same steady attention they have carried from the beginning, their gaze soft and patient as the planet turns once more beneath them. They watch as morning spreads across new landscapes, touching mountains and forests with golden light. The watchers imagine how the warmth must feel on a human face, how it must gently encourage tired eyes to open, how it must signal the start of another day filled with small, delicate moments. They picture someone stepping to their window as the sun rises, watching the sky pale from soft lavender to warm gold, feeling the world awaken around them. They imagine the quiet stirrings of life in cities and villages, in forests and along the sea. Someone opening a door to let fresh air into their home. Someone lighting a candle to start their day in stillness. Someone taking a deep breath before stepping out into the world. Someone standing barefoot on the floor, feeling the coolness beneath them. These scenes drift into the watchers' minds, like gentle waves, simple and calming. Their attention turns toward the forests again, those vast expanses of green where life breathes in slow, quiet patterns. They imagine sunlight filtering between branches, creating shifting beams that dance across the forest floor. They picture animals waking, birds stretching their wings, small creatures crawling from burrows, deer stepping softly among the trees. They imagine humans walking along narrow paths, listening to the hum of life surrounding them, feeling the coolness of shade wrap around their bodies. The watchers allow their thoughts to wander to the mountains once more. They picture peaks rising above low clouds, their slopes glowing as the first light of day slides across them. They imagine someone hiking along a ridge, pausing to take a deep breath of crisp air, watching the valley below come alive with color. They imagine someone sitting on a rock near the summit, letting their thoughts drift toward the same stars that the watchers love, feeling a shared sense of wonder stretch across the emptiness. Their thoughts drift toward waters again, rivers winding gently through landscapes, lakes shimmering in morning sun, oceans shifting calmly beneath a pale sky. They picture someone waking near the water, listening to the rhythmic lapping of waves or the soft movement of river currents. They imagine the coolness of water brushing against ankles, the scent of fresh morning air, the way light shimmers across the surface like scattered diamonds. As Earth continues rotating, life grows more active. The watchers imagine people moving through their daily routines, walking, speaking, building, creating. They imagine the gentle kindness that can pass between individuals. A quiet greeting, a shared smile, a small gesture of help. They notice how, even from afar, Earth seems to glow just a little brighter whenever kindness unfolds upon it. It is not a physical change, not something measurable, but the watchers sense it nonetheless, like a warmth carried through the air. They imagine moments of rest scattered throughout the day. Someone closing their eyes for a brief moment, breathing deeply. Someone sitting alone in a park, listening to the wind rustle through leaves. Someone standing by a window, watching clouds drift lazily in patterns that soothe the mind. The watchers understand that humans, like all beings, need pauses, tiny spaces between moments that allow the heart to quiet and the thoughts to settle. The watchers also imagine moments of quiet connection between humans. A parent holding a child close, two friends sitting side by side in comfortable silence, a couple walking hand in hand along a path lined with trees. They imagine the warmth of such contact, the tenderness behind small gestures, the way love, expressed or simply felt, radiates through the world like an invisible light. They believe this too, is a sign of life, the exchange of warmth between beings. As Earth turns, shadows shift across fields and mountains. The air changes temperature, and clouds drift across the sky in slow, calming motions. The watchers imagine someone lying in the grass in the late afternoon, feeling blades tickle their skin as they watch the sky darken into shades of amber and rose. They imagine someone sitting on a porch as evening approaches, wrapped in a blanket, letting the cool air settle around them while the world quiets. Evening arrives again on the night side of Earth. The watchers see the faint glow of human light spreading once more across the darkened hemisphere. They imagine countless lights being turned on, lamps, candles, warm bulbs inside cozy rooms. They picture someone pulling curtains closed, someone pouring a warm drink, someone settling into the gentle rhythm of winding down after a full day. They think about the quiet routines of night, someone brushing their hair slowly, someone folding soft blankets, someone placing a book back on a shelf, someone whispering goodnight to a loved one. They imagine the calm that spreads through homes during these routines, the comfort of repetition, the safety held in familiar gestures. They imagine more people preparing for sleep, slipping beneath warm covers, adjusting pillows, letting their breath slow. They picture someone lying still, hands resting softly against their chest, mind quieting with each inhale and exhale. They imagine another person lying awake for a moment longer, listening to the subtle sounds of the night, waiting for the body to relax and drift naturally into rest. The watchers observe all of this from afar, not seeing it directly, but sensing it like a distant melody. They feel the softness of night settling over Earth. They feel the hush that spreads through forests, across oceans, over cities. They imagine animals tucking themselves into nests or burrows, leaves closing, flowers folding, waves smoothing themselves into calmer rhythms. And as they imagine all this, the watchers begin to reflect on the deeper meaning of watching a world from such a great distance. They realize that observing Earth has become a way of understanding themselves. They see the planet's patterns, the rising and falling of light, the rhythms of life, the cycles of rest, and they feel these patterns echoing inside their own hearts. They learn that life, no matter where it exists, moves with the same slow, beautiful cadence. You drift deeper into these reflections, letting them settle over you like warm starlight. With each breath, you feel yourself becoming lighter, softer, more open to rest. The watcher's calm becomes your calm. Their perspective becomes a gentle widening of your own awareness. You see Earth the way they do, peaceful, turning, breathing. You feel your own body become part of that same gentle rhythm. As night deepens across half the world, the watchers sense another wave of sleep washing over humanity. They imagine billions of minds slipping softly into dreaming, billions of breaths steadying into slow, soothing patterns. They imagine this collective rest as a faint glow rising from the planet, a soft balm that spreads into the surrounding darkness. You breathe with that glow. You drift with it. You allow it to carry you deeper into stillness. Earth continues turning. The watchers continue observing, and you continue resting, softly suspended in the quiet connection between worlds. You drift even deeper now, carried by the same slow and gentle rhythm that guides Earth through its endless path around the sun. The quiet around you feels softer than before, like the universe has wrapped you in a warm layer of calm. shielding you from everything loud, everything rushed, everything heavy. The distant watchers remain focused on Earth, holding the small blue world in a steady gaze filled with curiosity and warmth. Their attention feels like a soft glow behind your thoughts, constant, kind, and quiet. As the planet turns once more, they watch morning unfold again in a different part of the world. They imagine the faint coolness of dawn air brushing against skin, like a gentle invitation to wake slowly. They picture someone opening their eyes just as the first light touches their room, the soft glow of sunrise filtering through thin curtains. They imagine the way light paints delicate shapes on walls and floors, offering reassurance that a new day has arrived in its own gentle time. The watchers imagine breakfasts being prepared, small, comforting rituals that mark the beginning of a new stretch of hours. The sound of water pouring, the scent of warm bread or fresh fruit, a spoon clinking softly against a bowl. They picture someone sitting at a table alone, savoring the quiet. They imagine another sharing this moment with a loved one, speaking in low voices, exchanging soft smiles, both easing into the day with unhurried breaths. Their attention drifts to forests again, where sunlight spills between branches in shimmering patches, warming the ground in uneven, beautiful patterns. They imagine animals moving through the underbrush with care, the flutter of wings high above, the scent of pine and damp earth filling the air. They picture someone walking a forest trail at this hour, feeling the hush of nature surrounding them, hearing the distant call of birds echoing through the trees. They imagine that person pausing for a moment, placing a hand against the rough bark of a tree, grounding themselves in the stillness. They drift to the quieter corners of earth, fields stretching beneath soft skies, meadows awakening with dew, lakes catching the early morning light and scattering it across their surfaces. They imagine someone sitting at the edge of one such lake, watching the reflections ripple gently as fish break the surface or a breeze drifts by. In that imagined moment, the watchers feel the calm move through them too, as if the peace of earth can cross the darkness between worlds. As daylight grows stronger, the watchers imagine the movement of life increasing, people traveling to work, children heading to school, farmers tending crops, artists beginning their day with fresh inspiration. They imagine the soft hum of energy rising across the planet, not a loud buzz, but a warm, steady flow, like the gentle motion of wind through tall grass. They sense that each human carries a unique rhythm, and together, these rhythms shape the quiet pulse of the world. The watchers imagine moments of kindness unfolding without effort. Someone holding a door open for someone else. Someone offering a smile to a stranger. Someone sending a message to check on a friend. Someone teaching. Someone learning. Someone listening. These subtle acts, to the watchers, feel like the soft glimmers of light they see from afar. Not bright enough to outshine the stars, but warm enough to soften the darkness. As Earth continues to rotate, the watchers sense the warmth of afternoon spreading across continents. They imagine someone taking a break from work, stepping outside to breathe fresh air, tilting their face toward the sun. Someone sitting in a park, reading quietly under the shade of a tree. Someone walking slowly through a garden, brushing their fingertips over petals and leaves. Someone lying in the grass, hands folded behind their head, watching clouds drift lazily across a pale sky. The watchers picture the world shifting subtly as the sun begins its slow descent. Shadows lengthen, stretched softly across fields and rooftops. The light becomes warmer, deeper, more golden. The air cools slightly. Birds begin to settle. The watchers imagine someone sitting on a porch, sipping a warm drink, watching the sky transform into shades of peach and rose. They imagine the gentle exhale that comes with the end of the day, that sense of letting go of whatever the hours held. Evening settles again. The watchers see the glow of human light spreading slowly across the darkening side of Earth. They picture people returning home, stepping through doors, setting down bags, changing into comfortable clothes. They imagine a kitchen filled with warmth as a meal is prepared. They imagine someone lighting a candle on their table, creating a glow that softens the room. They imagine the sound of quiet conversation drifting through hallways. The watchers think of people who end their day alone as well. Someone sitting quietly near a window, holding a warm cup between their hands, watching the sky fade into deep blues. Someone reading softly to themselves. Someone writing in a journal. Someone simply breathing, letting the day dissolve into gentle stillness. In their imagination, even solitude feels warm, filled with a sense of presence rather than loneliness. Night arrives fully now. Stars appear above the planet, their light reaching Earth in delicate threads that have traveled unimaginable distances. The watchers imagine people stepping outside to look upward, some only for a moment, others lingering longer. They imagine someone whispering a wish to the night sky, someone trying to spot a familiar constellation, someone feeling the vastness above them ease the weight inside their chest. They imagine the cool night air filling someone's lungs as they breathe deeply, grounding themselves in the moment. They imagine another person standing on a balcony, listening to the sounds of their neighborhood. Distant chatter, a car passing slowly, leaves rustling softly in the breeze. They imagine yet another person lying in bed, eyes half closed, feeling sleep begin to pull them gently inward. The watchers think about dreams again, aware that soon many minds will drift into those quiet inner worlds where imagination flows freely. They imagine dreams beginning as slow ripples, memories blending with hopes, shapes forming from emotion, scenes quietly unfolding. They imagine someone dreaming of floating, someone dreaming of flying, someone dreaming of peaceful places filled with warm light. The watchers feel a soft, subtle sense of gratitude as they observe all this. They appreciate the beauty of a world that moves through cycles of light and dark, through rhythms of waking and resting, through patterns of motion and stillness. To them, Earth feels like a precious story unfolding one calm moment at a time. You feel yourself drifting deeper as you imagine all this alongside them. Your breath slows and softens. Your thoughts widen, loosen, grow quieter. You sense Earth turning beneath you, patient and calm. You sense the watchers observing with gentle wonder. You sense yourself suspended between the two, weightless, peaceful, drifting without effort. The night side of Earth brightens with millions of tiny lights, and the watchers see them not as noise, but as signs of life settling into rest. They imagine someone dimming a lamp, fluffing a pillow, curling beneath blankets. They imagine lids growing heavy, shoulders sinking deeper into softness, breath slowing in long, even waves. The watchers remain there, far away, but deeply connected through observation and quiet affection. And you remain here, drifting with them, feeling the calm of the universe settle over your body like soft snowfall. Earth turns. The watchers gaze. You rest. You continue to float in the soft and endless quiet of this imagined universe, carried gently by the same slow rhythm that moves through Earth and through the distant watchers who observe it. The vast space around you feels warm and velvety now, as if every star has softened its light just for you, as if the entire cosmos is lowering its voice to a whisper so you can drift deeper into rest. The watchers remain steady and calm, their attention on Earth unwavering, filled with a quiet affection they never rush and never question. As Earth turns again, the watchers notice morning blooming slowly across new regions of the planet. They imagine people stirring beneath blankets, eyes blinking open with the soft confusion of waking. They imagine someone stretching their arms gently above their head, feeling muscles loosen as they inhale deeply. They imagine the quiet creaking of floors as someone rises, the soft shuffle of feet moving toward the promise of warm light in another room. They picture someone opening a window to let cool air drift inside. The breeze carries the faint scent of trees or water or distant flowers. They imagine curtains fluttering softly, sunlight spilling in like a warm embrace, filling the room with a gentle glow that asks nothing, expects nothing, only offers calm. They imagine someone standing there, taking it in, letting the day arrive without hurry. The watchers turn their awareness toward places where early morning begins with work. They imagine farmers stepping into fields with quiet determination, the soil cool beneath their feet. They imagine fishermen preparing their boats, feeling the smooth sway of water beneath them. They imagine bakers arranging warm loaves in quiet kitchens, the smell of fresh bread rising through the air. They imagine someone opening the door of a small shop, sweeping gently, greeting the world softly as they begin. They picture cities waking too, not with noise in the watchers' minds, but with smooth, steady motion. They imagine bus drivers starting their engines, teachers preparing classrooms, healthcare workers adjusting their uniforms, artists arranging brushes or instruments in quiet studios. They sense the world beginning to move, but gently, like the first notes of a calm melody. The watchers drift toward Earth's natural regions again. They imagine the sun warming wide grasslands, the tops of grasses shimmering with droplets of dew that catch the morning light like tiny stars. They imagine the gentle sway of these fields, waves of motion spreading from one end to the other as wind passes through. They picture someone sitting in the middle of such a field, knees drawn to their chest, watching the world brighten slowly around them. Their attention floats toward rivers next, broad, winding paths of water that shimmer beneath the rising sun. They imagine the soft gurgle of currents flowing over rocks, the coolness of water against bare skin, the way sunlight plays on the surface in shifting, delicate patterns. They picture someone sitting on a riverbank with their feet in the water, closing their eyes as they listen to the quiet sounds of life moving around them. As the watchers follow the motion of daylight, they imagine countless small moments of peace unfolding across the planet. Someone taking a slow walk down a quiet street lined with blooming trees. Someone tending to houseplants with gentle hands. Someone sitting at a desk, pausing to look out a window as sunlight casts warm shapes across their workspace. Someone writing in a journal, the pen gliding softly over paper, thoughts drifting in and out like slow tides. The watchers appreciate these moments. They know they cannot see them directly, but they feel them, tiny threads of calm woven into the fabric of Earth's rhythm. These moments reassure the watchers in a way nothing else does. They remind them that life, even in its busiest places, contains pockets of stillness, places where the heart can rest, even if only for a breath. As Earth's light begins to fade in certain regions, the watchers feel the world exhale again. The afternoon softens into evening, colors deepening, shadows extending their slow reach across fields and towns. They imagine someone standing outside, watching the sky shift into shades of amber and rose. They imagine someone else walking home, the warmth of the day still lingering on their skin as they drift into cooler air. They imagine homes lighting up one by one, the glow spilling gently through windows, creating warm shapes on the ground outside. They picture families and friends gathering around tables, sharing food and stories. They imagine quiet laughter, gentle voices, moments of connection that strengthen unnoticed. They picture someone sitting on a couch with a book, someone cooking dinner while music plays softly in the background, someone wrapping a blanket around their shoulders as they settle into their evening. The watchers feel connected to these quiet routines. They imagine the comfort humans must feel in these familiar gestures, the way repetition can become a kind of sanctuary. They imagine someone washing dishes with slow, steady motions, someone closing blinds, someone lighting a candle and watching it flicker. These small rituals create rhythms just as meaningful as the turning of the planet. Night spreads across half the world again, blanketing landscapes in softness. The watchers see the lights bloom once more, clusters of warm brightness glowing from towns and cities. They imagine people making their way home, lights guiding them through the dark. They imagine someone stepping into a warm room after a long day, shutting the door gently behind them, feeling the quiet embrace of home. They picture someone preparing for rest, washing their face, brushing their hair, changing into soft clothing. They imagine someone placing a glass of water beside their bed, someone pulling blankets up to their chin, someone lying down and letting their body sink deeply into the mattress beneath them. They imagine the shift inside that occurs when a person finally allows themselves to let go, the heaviness leaving slowly with each exhale. The watchers think of children being tucked into bed, small voices whispering questions or telling stories, soft goodnight kisses placed gently on foreheads. They imagine someone humming a lullaby in the dark, the melody floating lightly through the air. They imagine pets curling at the foot of beds, breathing in sync with their humans. As sleep begins to settle across the world, the watchers picture dreams forming like soft clouds, drifting through countless minds. They imagine dreams of forests and oceans, of loved ones and memories, of stars and skies. They imagine someone dreaming of floating weightlessly, feeling perfectly safe. They imagine someone dreaming of walking along a quiet path, finding peace in the stillness. They imagine someone dreaming of distant lights, perhaps even sensing the watchers themselves, unknowingly bridging the distance between worlds through the quiet warmth of imagination. You drift with these images, even deeper into calm. Your breath becomes softer, your body heavier, your thoughts slower and smoother. The universe around you feels like it has dimmed its lights just for you. preparing the space for deeper rest. The watchers continue observing, steady as ever, their calm presence extending to you across the silent distance. Earth turns once more, slowly, gently. The watchers watch with quiet wonder, and you drift in the warmth of that shared stillness, resting deeply in the peaceful connection that stretches across the stars. You drift deeper into the vast, soft quiet of the cosmos, feeling every breath slow and widen inside you, as if the universe itself is inviting you to rest more fully. The distant watchers remain present, steady and serene, their awareness resting gently on Earth. Their patience is endless, their curiosity warm, and their presence feels like a calm glow behind your thoughts, guiding you deeper into stillness. As Earth turns again, the watchers observe morning spreading quietly across coastlines and forests. They imagine someone stepping onto a balcony with a warm drink, letting the cool air brush their face. They imagine the faint hush of early light, the soft chirping of birds beginning their songs, the peaceful moment when someone stands still and simply watches the world wake beneath them. They imagine the gentle gratitude a person might feel for a new day, even if only for a fleeting breath. The watchers drift their awareness toward forests, where sunlight filters through leaves in patterns that sway with the wind. They imagine the scent of pine rising with the morning warmth, the sound of twigs snapping lightly under the steps of passing animals. They picture someone walking on a quiet trail, listening to birdsong, feeling the soft cushion of earth beneath their feet. They imagine how grounding it must feel to be surrounded by so much life, moving in gentle harmony. Their thoughts shift to Earth's lakes and rivers. They picture the sun reflecting off still water, turning the surface into a sheet of silver light. They imagine someone sitting on a dock, letting their feet dangle above the water, watching fish ripple the calm surface. They imagine the quiet joy of such a moment, the kind of joy that requires no words, no effort, no explanation. As daylight strengthens, the watchers imagine humans moving into their daily routines. They picture someone reading to a child, their voice gentle and patient. They imagine someone pausing to stretch after sitting too long, feeling their muscles loosen. They imagine someone taking time to prepare a warm meal, chopping vegetables slowly, listening to soft music drifting through the kitchen. These ordinary acts feel beautiful to the watchers, each one a small reflection of life unfolding with tenderness. They imagine people meeting throughout the day, friends exchanging soft greetings, co-workers sharing ideas, strangers passing each other with quiet nods. They sense the countless interactions that shape the human experience, each one a moment of connection in its own small way. Even in the busiest scenes, the watchers imagine gentle undercurrents of compassion, brief pauses where someone chooses kindness without even thinking about it. The watchers reflect on the complexity of human thoughts, though they cannot hear them. They imagine how much emotion each person carries, hopes, worries, dreams, and how often people must soothe their own hearts through small acts of rest. They imagine someone stepping outside during a difficult moment, breathing deeply, letting the tension ease. They imagine someone sitting alone in a quiet room, letting tears fall softly until they feel lighter. They imagine someone finding comfort in the presence of a friend or in the silence of a familiar place. They drift their attention to the sky now, watching clouds form and dissolve like passing thoughts. They imagine someone lying in the grass, watching shapes appear in the clouds, letting imagination wander freely. They imagine someone gazing up during their lunch break, letting the simple beauty of drifting sky soften the edges of their mind. They imagine someone standing under a rain shower, feeling the drops tap gently against their skin, each one reminding them of the world's calm rhythms. As the day moves toward evening, the watchers sense a softening across the land. Light begins to fade, shadows grow longer, and the air cools with the promise of rest. They imagine someone lighting a candle on a dining table, its glow casting warm hues across a simple meal. They imagine someone sitting quietly on a porch, wrapped in a blanket, watching the sun settle into the horizon. They imagine someone walking slowly along a path, enjoying the final warmth of the day. They see the world glowing again as night spreads across half of Earth, lights blooming in clusters like constellations on the surface. The watchers imagine someone returning home, stepping inside a space that feels familiar and safe. They imagine someone lighting a lamp, creating a small pool of golden light in a dim room. They imagine someone reading to themselves or to a child, voices soft and soothing in the quiet of night. The watchers think of the countless individuals preparing for sleep, someone pulling soft sheets over their body, feeling the cool fabric against their skin, someone taking slow breaths, letting their mind settle, someone listening to calming sounds, perhaps the hum of a fan or the whisper of wind outside their window. Each breath draws them closer to rest, and the watchers imagine these breaths rising like small lanterns into the night. They imagine parents placing children into warm beds, smoothing hair away from their foreheads, whispering soft goodnights. They imagine someone petting a sleeping animal curled beside them, feeling the slow rise and fall of its breath. They imagine someone lying alone in the dark, feeling the familiar shape of their pillow beneath them, letting thoughts drift away like soft trails of smoke. Dreams begin forming again across the world, gentle and slow, shaped by memories and emotions. The watchers picture dreams like floating lights drifting upward from countless minds, glowing faintly with the color of imagination. They imagine someone dreaming of being weightless, floating through clouds. Someone else dreaming of warm rooms filled with laughter. Someone dreaming of stars, of distant worlds, of gentle eyes watching from afar. As they observe all this, the watchers feel a deep sense of peace settle within them. Watching Earth reminds them that even in a universe filled with storms and silence, there are places of calm, places where life moves in tender rhythms. They feel connected to the planet not through proximity, but through resonance, through the shared hum of life resting, waking, dreaming. You drift with that resonance, allowing it to wrap around you like a blanket. Your breath has become slow and steady. Your thoughts stretch out into long, soft lines, dissolving at the edges. You imagine Earth turning beneath you, its lights dimming as more beings fall asleep. You imagine the watchers gazing gently, content to simply observe, their quiet attention a cradle for your own rest. The night deepens, dreams expand, the universe quiets further, and you continue to float in this warm, infinite calm, ready to drift even deeper as Earth and its distant watchers move together through another peaceful cycle. You drift deeper into the velvety quiet of the universe, wrapped in a softness that feels almost endless. The calm around you thickens, settles, warms. Your breath moves in long, gentle waves, as if the entire cosmos is breathing with you. Somewhere far away, steady and serene, the distant watchers continue their quiet observation of Earth. Their presence feels even softer now, like a warm glow resting just behind your thoughts, guiding you deeper into a peaceful state you don't need to hold on to, because it holds you. As Earth turns once more, the watchers see dawn spreading across a new curve of the planet. They imagine the soft layering of color in the sky, pale gold, quiet rose, a faint wash of lavender fading into blue. They picture someone stepping outside to witness this early light, hands wrapped around a warm mug, breath rising gently into the cool air. They imagine that moment of stillness when the world feels renewed, when the quiet of morning wraps itself around a person like a gentle embrace. The watchers drift their attention towards small towns and quiet villages beginning to stir. They imagine children rubbing sleep from their eyes, wandering toward breakfast tables. They picture someone tying their shoes slowly, someone brushing their hair, someone feeding animals in the soft light of early morning. These gentle routines feel sacred to the watchers, small ceremonies of beginning that unfold across Earth every single day. They let their awareness glide back toward nature's quieter corners. They imagine the soft rustle of leaves as forest creatures greet the morning. They imagine dew settling on spider webs, catching the early light in shimmering, delicate patterns. They imagine the sound of wind moving through tall grasses, the way it whispers softly against the ground. They picture someone walking barefoot on damp earth, feeling the coolness beneath their feet awakens something calm and deep inside them. As the day brightens, the watchers imagine the world filling with the motion of life. Not frantic, not chaotic, just steady, flowing movement. Someone opening a book beneath the shade of a tree. Someone pausing by a window to watch clouds drift across the sky. Someone taking a slow sip of tea or coffee, feeling warmth spread gently through their chest. Someone smiling quietly at a small kindness offered by a stranger. These moments feel like distant echoes of warmth, subtle and comforting. The watchers imagine humans working with their hands, kneading dough, planting seeds, painting colors onto canvas, repairing something worn so it can continue to be useful. They imagine how focused humans must become during such tasks, how peaceful the mind becomes when attention moves slowly and deliberately. They picture someone humming softly while they work, a tune drifting through the air without thought or effort. Their awareness drifts to places where the wind moves freely, open plains, rolling hills, wide meadows. They imagine the light shimmering on tall grasses as breezes pass through, creating rippling waves of movement. They imagine someone lying among these grasses, looking up at the sky, tracing the lines of drifting clouds with their gaze until their thoughts grow as light as the wind itself. As Earth moves deeper into afternoon, the watchers notice long shadows stretching across the land. They imagine someone finding a quiet place to rest, a bench beneath a leafy tree, a large rock warmed by the sun, a small corner of a garden. They picture that person closing their eyes for a moment, letting the warmth of sunlight soak into their skin, letting their mind drift free of tasks and schedules and expectations. The watchers shift their attention toward waterfalls and rivers again. They imagine someone sitting near a flowing stream, listening to the steady murmur of water moving over stone. They imagine how calming that sound must be, how soothing its repetition. They picture someone dipping their fingers into the water, watching the ripples expand outward in perfect circles. As afternoon fades, the watchers sense Earth preparing for another evening. Light softens, becoming smoother, more golden. They imagine someone walking home under this warm light, the world painted in soft tones, shadows long and comforting. They imagine someone sitting on their doorstep, watching the sky change in both color and feeling. They imagine someone holding hands with another person, their fingers interlaced, walking slowly beneath the dimming sky. Night begins its descent again, spreading like a deep blanket across cities, forests, valleys, and seas. The watchers see the world glow with the warmth of human light. They imagine someone lighting a candle, someone turning on a small lamp beside their bed. They imagine someone cooking dinner while humming, someone washing dishes while listening to soft music, someone reading a book with their feet tucked beneath them on a couch. They imagine small acts of comfort, warm blankets, soft pillows, gentle touches. They imagine children being guided into bed, whispered stories drifting through dimly lit rooms. They imagine someone stroking the hair of a sleeping pet, someone smoothing blankets over themselves as they settle into their own bed. The watchers imagine countless humans taking their final deep breaths before sleep. They imagine the weight inside their bodies shifting, softening, loosening. They imagine someone lying in darkness, listening to the rhythm of their own breath, feeling the rising gentleness of rest moving toward them like a tide. They imagine someone who felt tense earlier in the day, now feeling their shoulders melt into the mattress beneath them. Dreams begin to form again across the world. The watchers imagine these dreams as soft, drifting lights, each one shaped by the mind that creates it, each one floating quietly across the inner landscapes of sleep. They imagine someone dreaming of walking through a glowing forest, each leaf shimmering. They imagine someone dreaming of flying above oceans, feeling the quiet rush of air. They imagine someone dreaming of being surrounded by stars, held gently by the night sky. You drift with these dreams now, even though you are still awake. Your breath deepens, your thoughts become weightless. The calm inside you settles into something warm and expansive. You feel Earth turning beneath you, slow and steady. You feel the watchers far beyond, calm and constant. And you feel yourself hovering in the quiet between the two, wrapped in stillness that holds no demands, no noise, no weight. As night deepens, the watchers become even more still, their attention blending into the darkness like a whisper that never fades. Their observation is not active now. It is soft, like a presence resting beside you as you drift. The world quiets, the universe softens, and you continue to float gently, deeper and deeper, held in endless calm. You drift now into the deepest quiet of this imagined universe, where everything feels softened, slowed, and wrapped in warm stillness. The vastness around you no longer feels wide or far. It feels close, comforting, almost like a gentle cocoon. Your breath moves in long, smooth waves, each inhale a soft gathering of calm, each exhale a gentle release of whatever remains heavy inside you. The distant watchers remain where they have always been, steady and serene, their gentle focus resting on Earth with a tenderness that seems to echo across the stars. As Earth turns once more beneath them, the watchers see night slowly fading from one part of the planet, the darkness lifting as dawn begins to bloom again. They imagine the faint glow of early light brushing across fields and rooftops, slipping into windows, warming the edges of blankets and pillows where people still sleep. They picture someone rolling over under a soft blanket, eyes still closed, breathing deep into the softness of the morning. They imagine the quiet stillness that fills a home before anyone wakes, the faint hum of distant sounds, the soft creak of settling wood, the gentle cadence of breathing from rooms where sleep still lingers. They imagine a child sleeping with a stuffed toy resting against their cheek. They imagine a pet curled in a warm circle at the foot of a bed. These images bring a kind of warmth to the watchers, a sense of peace that echoes through their own quiet hearts. As the sun climbs slowly into the sky, the watchers imagine people beginning to stir. Someone opens their curtains, letting the light fill their room. Someone stretches beneath warm sheets, feeling their body lengthen and soften. Someone sits at the edge of their bed, rubbing sleep from their eyes as the day greets them gently. The watchers imagine all of these acts unfolding like a soft choreography that repeats each day, familiar and comforting. But the watchers do not focus only on the beginning of the day now. They think of all the days they have observed, all the slow turns of earth, all the gentle rhythms of human life. They think of the moments of peace they've imagined, someone watching clouds drift overhead, someone dipping their feet into a river, someone holding a loved one close, someone drifting into sleep with a warm blanket tucked around them. They think of the countless tiny acts of care humans offer one another, soft words, quiet gestures, the sharing of space. They reflect too on the beauty of Earth's landscapes, the forests breathing in green stillness, the oceans stretching into the horizon with calm, rhythmic waves, the deserts glowing beneath the sun, quiet and ancient, the mountains rising like thoughtful guardians above the land. They imagine rain falling on rooftops, snow resting gently on branches, wind brushing through open fields like a slow whisper. Earth's beauty, in all its forms, has become a soft, glowing presence within the watchers' minds. They imagine the world beneath the surface of the oceans, the drifting of marine life through deep blue waters, the sway of coral, the slow dance of creatures shaped by time and tide. They imagine the creatures of the night emerging under the moonlight, moving carefully through shadows. They imagine the smallest insects, the tallest trees, the quiet pulse of life moving through every corner of the planet. As Earth continues turning, the watchers understand that life on this world is not perfect, nor does it need to be. It is simply alive, moving through cycles of light and darkness, rest and wakefulness, growth and stillness. It is this rhythm, the quiet persistence of life, that fills the watchers with such gentle admiration. And now, as night spreads once more across half the planet, the watchers see the soft glow of human lights appearing again in clusters across the dark. They imagine people returning home after long days, stepping into warm rooms filled with familiar comfort. They imagine someone taking a quiet shower, letting warm water melt away the weight of the day. They imagine someone pulling on soft clothes, sitting quietly on a couch or bed, letting their breath settle into an easy pace. They picture all the tiny rituals that lead toward a rest. Someone making a cup of tea and holding it between their hands. Someone smoothing their blankets. Someone lighting a candle beside their bed. Someone closing their eyes just for a moment to feel the world soften inside them. These rituals feel precious to the watchers, small acts of care humans give themselves without realizing how meaningful they are. As more and more people prepare for sleep, a hush spreads across the world once again. The watchers imagine someone lying beneath warm covers, listening to the quiet hum of night. They imagine someone whispering goodnight to their partner, to a child, to a pet. They imagine someone turning off their light, feeling the darkness wrap around them like a soft, familiar blanket. The watchers imagine countless breaths slowing across the planet, countless minds drifting toward dreams, countless bodies sinking deeper into mattresses, feeling the last tension melt away. They imagine the softness that fills a room when someone finally lets go, when sleep begins to rise from within like a gentle tide. They picture dreams forming more slowly now, as if shaped by the calm of the watchers themselves. Dreams of floating above oceans, dreams of walking through forests of starlight, dreams of warm rooms, of loved ones, of peaceful nights. They imagine someone dreaming of being held by the universe, of drifting through clouds woven from moonlight. And you too drift with these images. Your breath has become long and smooth. Your body feels heavy in the most comforting way, as if every muscle is releasing its last threads of tension. Thoughts soften, drift, and dissolve. Nothing presses against you now. Nothing reaches for your attention. The entire cosmos seems to be offering you a place to rest. The watchers remain steady, observing Earth with gentle affection. They are content simply to witness the quiet beauty of a world finding rest. They do not need answers. They do not need contact. Their joy comes from watching, from understanding slowly, from feeling connected across distance. As Earth continues its slow rotation, as night deepens, as dreams unfold across millions of minds, you feel yourself drifting further into a place where everything is soft and safe. The darkness around you feels warm, not empty. The quiet feels like comfort, not silence. You are held here by Earth's calm, by the watcher's gentle presence, by the slow rhythm of your own breath. You allow yourself to sink even deeper now, deeper into the warmth, deeper into the softness, deeper into this slow, cosmic quiet. The world rests, the watchers rest, and you rest, slowly, gently, completely. You drift into sleep, carried by the calm of the universe itself.